All right. Hello, everybody. So, I, I mean, today is patch day. I'm super excited. I, I'm currently on Temtem because I wanted to throw a disclaimer out there for anyone. This entire thing is going to be spoilers if you haven't seen all the information yourself. I mean, technically, it's all coming out like today, anyways. But just in case, I wanted to warn you. But yeah, I'm planning on first going through the list of patch notes, giving some initial thoughts, and I'm not sure exactly what after that. I'm kind of doing this at like 6 in the morning, and I do have class later, so I guess it kind of depends on how long it takes. But I'd like to do some gameplay. Otherwise, I'll do like a two-part stream where I'll get some stuff in now and some more in later. Hello, Millie. Welcome. But all right, we're just gonna hop into it. I I have to assume that like we're greeted with the new mythical Swarmade nerf. I'm literally just looking through the patch notes right now. I have not seen anything yet. Only thing I have is the couple Discord messages I got this morning, and you've already spoiled the Swarmade nerf just now. No. I knew it was getting reworked. I saw a lot of stuff, so I am not probably gonna have great reactions. I just want to give my first thoughts on stuff. I was expecting a lot of the stuff ahead of time. I don't know. It looks so goofy because the dude's got like an inky forehead. He's got like the tarot cards. And he's over like a book. This is a mount. Good. 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 It did like okay. Good. Well, I mean, it like it hits you with this picture of stuff you've never seen before, and then it says there's the new mythical Temtem. So I don't know what I'm supposed to expect. All right. New quest, new route. I mean, yeah. So the Umbras are real. We got spoilers on that yesterday. Different colored, Luma's dark, even rare counterpart, new effect. Won't spawn two finishers, so it's a quest. And after defeating. Okay, that's interesting. 3 ways to obtain Umbras. Base is. Everyone kind of thought this was a joke. They don't tell you anything about the mythical and say find out by playing. Oh my goodness, I'm gonna actually have to play. I mean, I can just load in and then check it out on Showdown, right? Like, what's stopping me? Okay. Or maybe you have to see it first. I guess that would require you to complete a lair. Well, I got time to do that. If Lumas are blocked on a specific, okay. Umbras, you cannot breed Umbras, but Luma parents can produce Umbra children. See, I was wondering about this. It's kind of weird because like Umbras are supposed to be the counterpart of Lumas, where they're like I don't know, they're dark, Lumas are light. You wouldn't think that two light can produce a dark, but I guess they can. But even so, like you're basically going for antiheres with now like normal Luma eggs. That's crazy. Uh, these work like current radars, but boost Luma or Umbra odds instead. And be purchasable with Luma drops. Ah, I did not store up on those. Different icon, tweak UI, you can tell them apart. Be multiplied according to the current. Alright, so basically you're gonna just get them from radars, which is fair enough because I was 100 times rate. It's pretty huge. All SVs are set to 50. Okay, this is actually really nice. I was wondering if there was going to be a new hotfix system, but that kind of answers that. Park doesn't boost. Yeah. I mean, I'm not sure how much I'm going to grind for them. It depends on how good the rest of the update is. Endless Night, new season, events. I don't care too much about that. Randomized mode is really interesting. Might play around with that at some point. It would be fun to do some like local battles with people in their randomized teams if that's possible. Wonder if we can like get Lore Weaver to host a tournament for that or something. That could be really goofy. Layers. Yes, we've pretty much got most of this before. Less jewels are required depending on party size, rewards. New node. Revise. See this? Yeah, I'm glad it doesn't apply to Digilayers though. Casual dojo rematches, die preview. I don't even know what this is, but the instruments are cool, I guess. Premium store, free Tem, a lot of changes. I mean, a lot of the stuff we've heard about, the PvE. Mythical Temtem now have variants. Oh my goodness, I didn't even think about mythical Umbras. Is it possible to get those even? Statistically, it's got to be close to zero. Special trainers now have a distinctive music intro. That's kind of cool. Balance. But this is the economy first. I mean, Feather Reward here's nice. I'm not going to do that, though. PvP is still kind of OP for Feather stuff. Disciple Dojo rematches. I think I skipped something that said casual, but oh, I'll just Dojo rematches. Did you ask for one more jewel? Oh no, no, that's rough. I know people were farming Scarawatts and stuff, but it's gonna be so much harder now. I've run into so many Digilayer runs where we just every single fight counts, or unless you have like a crazy run. But you know, we'll take what we can get. Ranked rewards adjusted slightly, depending on if you're playing with a pro squad or a showdown squad. So I mean, if you have slightly less combined with slightly more, it's a bigger difference. If it's just a different way of putting the same thing, it doesn't matter as much. Alright, PvP. Here's what everyone's here for. The highlighted changes. Chromion. Stamina, who cares? Special attack, that's pretty significant. Shy Shield, Generify, Data Burst, all gone. Okay, well, if you're removing... I mean, Shy Shield and Data Burst nobody cares about, but Generify was used sometimes. We got to read all this ahead of time, because they put it in comp chat, but just in case anyone hasn't. This is the important thing, because I was using Chromion with Center Typer. So the fact that they are going to compensate for it is really important. So it's about equal. Okay. Quartz Dirt, the Crystal Chromion, Overclock and Token, Digital Chromion still just bad. Petrify was removed from Earth. We got word that that's getting reworked anyways. Sludge Gift and Drought. I mean, Drought's kind of interesting, but I wonder if they changed it that at all. I don't know why you're buffing Electric Chromion so much. It was already one of the stronger ones. Fire Flame, I know, is getting changed. Fire Tornado's interesting. Almost puts Fire Chromion on the same level as Digichromion, which is cool. Loses 1/6 of damage from its trait and gains 1/9, but just a straight up buff, yeah. That's actually really nice. Kisagatame, weird, but okay. I like the move. Emanip, okay. Oh my goodness. Waterblade, Sharp Rain, and Tsunami to water. That's actually pretty nuts. I was looking through these. Like most of these aren't going to matter much. Fire's cool. Electric was, but I mean you already saw electric and fire, but water's going to be added to the pool of usable ones now. These two don't matter much. Gust is still a bad move unless it got changed. Torrent buff is nice. That gives Crystal Chromion a turn 1. That's not Crystal Spikes, which you couldn't give it Crystal Spikes. Nullified. I don't know. I mean, a lot of these didn't get weak moves to hit your ally. Like you could pair with Mental, but the only thing that does is neutralize crystal types, which is still kind of bad. I don't know. Is DC beam on electric? Because you kind of want a weaker move so you can hit your ally. I guess I don't know. I didn't see anything you can really hit Lowaddle with to get a lot of value. I think Chromion still has that really weak signature move, like Tail Whip or Tongue Lash, I think it's called. That it's technically a neutral type, and you could neutralize your own Lowaddle, but it's on a hold, so I don't know. Nagais, yeah, it's just some bulk buffs all around because Decidor is getting changed. I mean, that's perfectly fine now. If that's the only change it's getting, I'd say that's completely reasonable. I don't, yeah. Get used to bulk buffs? Oh, you gotta be joking. That is the only thing I didn't want to see here. I'm gonna pretend I didn't read that. Alright, Karen. Willpower Drain is learned earlier. Nightmare Feed, Earth Wave, Stone Ball, Stampede, all removed. Swapping its attack stats, a little bit more stamina. Petrify we already got news of. Well, you're not... So it gets one move in turn of 3? I mean, it wasn't using Stampede or Earthwave, but I don't know, that just feels so bad. You're forcing it to just be a Soil Steam Sandstorm bot. Skull Helmet, now also immune to exhaust. Okay. I mean, okay. That doesn't. Skull Helmet's still going to be used on some stall teams, and that's about it. Because Curry learns it. Gotcha, gotcha. See, but I don't know why they don't put it up there then. Oh, whatever. Koish changes. Okay, how much bulk do they get? 6 base HP. That's not as bad as I thought, and they do get. Okay, we do see the attack nerf. I was hoping that would happen. I don't think they outward said it, but yeah. Water cannon removed. Water jet added to the general tech pool. Okay, that's probably a good choice. Mizu, hello, welcome. All right, crystal, sharp stabs, sharpening. Yeah, I mean it still won't be used. Digital cyber. What claw is is Digicoish using? It's kind of goofy. The problem is there's not enough crystal moves that exist in this game to give to these temps to make them that more viable. Faraday cage. Oh, I didn't even continue. Engineer. Why? I guess Generify doesn't really help in iridescence, but it's kind of nice to give it center typer use, but you're never going to do that anyways. Alright, Faraday. Earth. Y. I guess the torrent's probably gonna get nerfed at the end of this. I mean, you could give Crystal Koish Seabite, but that doesn't mean you're gonna run Crystal Koish. Not having a turn 1 crystal move. Oh no, the torrent. I don't know. I gotta see the torrent. I'll just skip down to it because that matters more. Or the stream. Stamina cost down. Really? Damage down on just 2 of them? Okay, 85 isn't going to be that useful. I'm kind of glad they were more conservative on the Quacious just because Iridescence can be potentially really strong. So, that's fine. I'd rather them be safer with the Quacious because you're essentially buffing 12 full Tems. And if you overbuff them, we'd be stuck seeing those 12 Tems everywhere. Earth got over nerfed though. Electric. See, well, why does ones that are already used, like electric, only get buffs, but something like Earth has to have Stone Ball removed? Fire, Meteor Swarm, Quetzal, like, okay. I mean that's not unreasonable. Melee. Oh man, I kind of like melee as a weird support, but I mean Psypass just better. Wrenching massage and helicopter kick. It's kind of goofy. It's like they're almost ignoring. They're ignoring the theme of it being a fish now. Just kind of weird. Mental ultrasound. Okay, but use piranha instead. Black hole. Oh, transient echo. Interesting. Very, very interesting. The mental might have some use now. If you want like a Sandy with a little bit of coverage, essentially. Definitely something to keep in mind. Nature roots. Oh my god, yeah, yeah. You said it. Nature didn't get nerfed. It only got buffed. Photosynthesis it'll never use. Roots it really won't either. I mean, it's not going to use any of these moves, but the fact that it didn't really lose anything is so bad. Oh, they removed Harmful Lick and Late Torment. They must have done some testing and found out that it's kind of broken compared to everything else. However, I don't like you can give it 4 moves in return for losing those 2, but you're not going to use Neutral Quash anymore. You're just not. I mean, you could use it in Synergy Master still, just kind of as a support, but you didn't want to. Toxic. I guess they're trying to differentiate it a bit from Calibus and Platimus a little bit by giving it Nox Bomb as its primary attack move. Venomous Claws as priority. I don't know. It's still kind of a bit weird. I don't think it'll be used. Water. You can give water whatever you want. It ain't happening. Wind. Turbine for Boomerang. Why? Okay, I know they were changing Refreshing Breeze. Maybe that'll be a good change. Kind of weird to see though. Yeah, here's the read up. I'm not gonna go through it. This is what we've already seen, and I was hoping that they'd actually have some information here, but we'll have to get in and check out Showdown or run a lair quick and get some info on that after we read through the notes. We saw the Chromion changes. Lawali, oh come on, you had so much potential to do anything else. Just that's so sad. All right, Mosu. I guess kind of continuing with the LC buffs, which is kind of nice, but not really important. Magmut, a little bit of bulk and some stamina. Nothing crazy here. Grandpa, more bulk. Last Rush was removed. Bird season. Why doesn't it tell us this trait here? Part of me wonders if this was like the bird of prey that was suggested by Chaotico, I believe, in the comp feedback. Kind of sounds similar. I don't know why you remove Last Rush though. I'd just remove Bully from it and make Bully a good trait. Amphithere's stat buffs like people asked for. I guess that's kind of what we get. The guys we saw, Banapi buffs, Kapire. I don't know, I guess they're trying to keep balance in the story somewhat, which is a little weird for something. I guess I don't remember when you get base jump. I just don't think that's crazy of a change. Like this buff, this doesn't help Kapire. It doesn't. I don't know what it's supposed to do. I don't know the speed break point offhand. 91. That's still slower than Mudrid, not faster than Gialis. So I don't know what it does. Auhi, random defense increase. Towley. Okay, so Auhi gets that then, which we get onto now. Stat buffs. You know, for those who didn't pay a lot of attention or missed it, the America Championship for TemCS was yesterday, and Jay Dorgan actually got to second place using an Owlhe. So now to see all of these buffs and more coverage given to it is kind of sketch. I mean, I know it needed something. I don't know if this was the play, though. just making the thing bulkier, giving it even more coverage options. But and Barnsheet doesn't get anything I see, but Fuhrer instead of Determined. Fuhrer's like, hold on, just 33% when below 30. So it's actually a huge damage boost. It's just the requirement for getting there is kind of rough. So I'm not sure if that's going to be able to be utilized real well, but we'll see. We'll see. I feel like Bruiser's just going to be more consistent because it's like a constant. Was it 15%? I think it's 15. Yeah, so you can have 15% always or 33% in very rare circumstances. The only thing is that if you want the extra damage on your wind type moves. Um, but like you're probably only going to be running one wind move anyways. You'll probably just run Bruiser with Helicopter Kick, Oshidashi, like Turbine, and Telekinetic on Alhino. But we'll have to see. It'd be interesting. Barnshee stat buffs still not going to be played. It does not help the Tem at all. Praniant random stat buffs. I'm kind of sad. Tortonite. Lots of stat buffs. I guess we're going to have to watch out for Confines getting nerfed. Okay. I see. I see. That makes sense then. So nobody ever runs Confined anymore. It still gets Quartz Shield. So it's still going to be an issue though. Inky defensive buffs are kind of nice. Now you don't have to spend the like 14 or 13 TVs to survive and mix crystal spikes. And your breakpoints for surviving stuff with Pan Sunscreen are a lot nicer. I don't think it needed it though. I think Inky was fine. Sludge Gifts. So here's the curry changes that affect Karen. I'm skipping this song. Yeah, that's better. Petrify too. I think that's fine. And Petrify is going to be kind of interesting now. But I just don't think it's going to... I don't know. I really don't know. It's kind of a weird change. Like, you're not going to be running Sludge Gifts. You don't need Prio on Karen. It was already in a really nice place for stall. You're basically just going to be running Soil Steam instead of Stoneball on your Karens now, and that's going to be the only change. Just because you always want Roar, Psychosis, and Stonewall. It's just that Soil Steam has basically just as much damage as Stoneball, but it's cheaper stamina-wise, and it has normal Prio instead of low Prio. So that's really the only thing that matters here. But here's the Karen changes again. Gets a little bit of stamina buff too. Blues get some buffs. In my experimentation with it, these don't matter at all. They really don't. Gazuma, I know Fast Charge is getting nerfed, so it makes sense to get some compensation buffs, but bulk buffs aren't going to help a trait bot that doesn't have a trait anymore. I know Oregon's done some interesting stuff with receptive, like self sparks. So you get the Invigorize the next turn, and so you're able to throw a powerful tornado at your opponent without losing a whole bunch of stamina. So maybe it'll still see really niche use as kind of a Sparks turbo damage support, but it's going to be really rare to see now, and I have a feeling a lot of these Tems just are going to fall under the radar again, and we'll end up in the same meta we were in last patch. Schween, bulk buffs. It was in a rough spot after losing Deluge, kind of. It's more or less just back to its role of being a Sparks, or a Rage Bot support. Valiar, they did add Black Hole back, and they added Jinx Whisper too. There's additional changes planned for Temtem due to complexity. So they're going to give Valiar some bigger changes, which is kind of nice. These are just Band-Aid fixes. It's Black Hole's kind of nice, but without Well, I guess we'll see in the moves, but if Bamboozle isn't changed, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't. Adoraboros nerfs. Why? Why is this the only thing that's getting changed about it? This doesn't help. This does not help. Oh, okay. I'll keep an eye on this Temtem to see how it performs after this change, especially on Toxic Skin. Did they change Toxic Skin? If not, we'll see Adoro everywhere still. Tukai gets Turbine. Physical Tukai wasn't used, so that doesn't matter. 2-Wire buffs. 2-Wire was already strong. Oh, this is insane! Holy buckets! Please tell me Common Factor got changed to 1 turn. Okay, okay. Whew. I had a minor heart attack. Oh, it says Common Factor had to be nerfed. Yeah, that would not be okay normally. Um, but now it's gonna be a dead Tem. Oh, why? Smoldering Kiss. Okay, so like the goal is to give a turn 1 fire option to Volcrane, but you have Embers, so you're not gonna play it. Spadef. I mean, you got to patch every Tem's weakness a little bit, right? Rockfall instead of you're going to run Stone Trench. You're not going to run both. What like that? That's a pointless change. How can you not see that? How do you try and avoid adding duplicate moves and then give Volcrane Rockfall? Like seriously? Did they forget what they did last patch in 1.4? Acronox, pointless buffs. Poish. Oh, I didn't. I saw Ice Cubes. It's just changing the level though. Moala Hypnosis has been removed. I know Hypnotist is getting reworked, but that's kind of interesting. I mean, this doesn't help Moala be viable. Maybe Haka helps it hit break points or something. Equinox gets a more interesting buff later on. Okay, good, good. Oh, that's right. They changed Sting around. I forgot. It got adjusted. Venmet, special defense buff, patching weaknesses. Ventil, patching defense, weakness, and undermine's kind of whatever. It's already got Unseen Blow, which is super strong. In beta bursts, it's just its typing is bad, but when you throw that much like bulk value at it, it's so strong. Arachnite, oh come on! I suggested a way better buff for this. Just give it. They didn't buff its speed, but you're just throwing. This is so bad. I can't believe I was excited for this. That mythical better be top tier. Okay. I it's not that the yeah, it's not that it's bad. It's boring. You can patch every Tem's weakness by just giving it more stats in its where it's weak, and it will be used more often. But the thing is, if everything's just throwing stats at each other, like you're just clicking attacks and hoping you outstat your opponent. There's little to no strategy involved. And it's more, and this is what's more or less causing the games now that are just complete type matchups. Because if you have type advantage, that's the biggest advantage you can have against your opponent. Because you all have insane bulk stats, and you all have access to turn 1 of both stabs that do like 100 BP each. So, yeah, I don't know. It's just that's why you prefer to push for new techniques and abilities. Yeah, that's optimal for sure. The problem is that also I just realized that I should have made this bigger like way earlier. Sorry, everyone viewing the VOD. Yeah, I'll keep scrolling. Volgan, Volgan was actually in a really good spot, I think. It had its niche use as a support, using both traits, and now they're just buffing it to make it even stronger. That is so questionable, especially giving it that much stamina. I mean, it's Kinda nice. It gives a bit more flexibility and supports, and there's not a whole lot of good electric types. But people don't even really view Volgon as an electric. It's just a trait support. All right, now we're on to techniques. Piezo stamina. That's kind of important. A lot of times that use the move needed that, so that's a good change. Torrent stream saw already. All right, here we go. Swarmade. Stamina recovery effect has been removed. They just added it. Fixed damage when the caster's HP is over 50 is 10%. When it's below 50, it's why? Okay. Partner caster now healed by 5% when the caster has over. Yeah, what? This is just a straight up nerf. They lit. That's so bad. What? So for those who don't know, before 1.5 here, all there was no 5%. It was all 10%. So no matter if your health was over 50% or below it, you would always deal 10% and heal 10%, unless you had synergy, which made it 15%. But now you're even lowering that. So this is just a straight up nerf. That is, it's not like even like Waspine was OP, and this is the only thing it gets is a nerf. I know there was a bingo card going around, or at least I saw one. There was one which is the D tier Tem that gets nerfed, and I guess it was Waspian. Swarmade now deals more damage when Waspian's high on health, but heals. I mean, this isn't wrong, but look, the goal was with this to give Waspian a more dynamic playstyle and a signature technique that feels a bit more meaningful. Yeah, that's so wrong. You're not clicking this move ever again. People didn't even run it before. How do you make it less useful? And not only did they remove the damage or lower the damage, but they also removed the stamina recovery that they just added. That was really interesting, and that actually made the move played at least a little bit more. Even, and that was added in compensation for the exhaust. I think maybe there's I don't know. Yeah, that's just so bad. Okay. Goring. At least they increase the stamina, but by one, that's not going to matter. Goring was already a strong move on a lot of strong Tems. Freshing Breeze. Still not going to be used. I mean, it's kind of interesting as another reset. That's actually really strong as another reset. Rip stall players. +3 special defense. Oh, so, okay. So it kind of works for them and against them, but like that's you still getting synergy for that is going to be really tough, especially when it's competing for like fluid barrier. Piercing wheel. I was actually thinking of this change. I think it's kind of interesting. It helps Zyzair to reach almost 200 speed with base. So with minimal speed invest, you can actually outspeed most of your stuff, and it'll be kind of nice on defense drop teams. Problem is that defense drop teams just aren't that strong, because now with all these bulk buffs going around, you can invest minimal bulk and survive 3 hits regardless of what you use. So it doesn't matter that you're lowering your defense, because it's still going to be 3 hits. It's a defense lowering move, an attack, and then another attack. So yeah, knockback damage increase. All right, Momo was already strong. Let's make it stronger. Zen meditation. They're why are they doing this? Why? I'm glad they're reducing the hold turns. That was a weird nerf they did last patch in 1.4. 1.4.1, but it shouldn't have been nerfed to 3 holds, considering it's already like low prio. Stamina cost makes it less enticing to click. I don't think we're going to see it a whole lot, but we'll probably see it some in niche situations. I don't know. Drool, who cares? Electric Storm, Kind of nice. I run Electric Storm on stuff like Nessa Grumper, and they don't have really high stamina. This helps me fit it into my rotations a lot better since I don't have to calc for the extra 3. So I appreciate this change. This is one of my favorite ones. But I don't like the fact that they're making spread moves even more accessible. Uh, because they're already some of the highest value moves in the game, and I haven't seen a Denigrate or a Binary Flood nerf. I hope that's going to be down a little bit further. Horror. Yes, you are right. Horror is the best move in the game now. It got 2 stamina cost reduced. um, the problem with horror is not its stamina. It is the fact that it's very hard to land. There's so much anti-sleep in the game with an entire type being immune, mental. The sleep, anti-sleep items, e-drink, bait, chamomile, and the fact that the move's on a hold. So all those things are working against it. And it just fizzles if it doesn't. So, okay. Petrify, we've already seen this. It was revealed in comp chat before. I think it's a cool move. I think this is one of the better changes. It's just going to see really niche use. It's competing with so many other moves that'll get more consistent value. I think it gives Stall Grumper an interesting option. But like Grumper is now kind of competing for a spot with Cowran. And Cowran kind of does everything Grumper wants to better. Just because it has Roar in combination with Stonewall. But we'll see. Maybe we'll see both on a team. I think Earth is kind of a valuable type for Stall to have because they're normally really fire weak. Because it's used a lot of nature Tems and crystal Tems. And double Earth can kind of deal with that. P-Jab, the P-Jab, you don't expect P-Jab to do damage anyways. I guess this is the Mashuk matchup gets punished a little bit more. Mashuk Volfi. Mashuk gets punished if it runs Helicopter Kick a bit more, is basically what it is. Time Split, I suppose this is supposed to be a buff for both Barnshee and Ventil, but it won't change anything. Oh, the Slingshot changed too. I didn't think about that. Yeah, no, it's probably directly for that. That's why it's 61. That's Toxin Shower. Okay, seriously? Like Toxin Shower, that's fine. Clay Ball, I thought Clay Ball was finally going to be an interesting thing you could run on Gario. If you didn't want to run Soil Steam or a Gravel Bag for Soil Steam, you could run Slingshot for Clay Ball, and it would still be a lower damage option, but it would at least be interesting. But no, that's not an option anymore. You can't. What do you have left at 60 BP? Ice Shuriken and Non-Synergy Sparkling Bullet. It's about the only things you could potentially use. They even lowered the stamina cost on Stone Trench. So that's even less reason to run Rockfall on Volcrane. Sharp Leaf? Yeah, you can take up an item slot to have discount Petal Dagger. Like it's you bump Sharp Leaf damage up from 50 to 65 BP. It's still really bad. Like you're not running Sharp Leaf. Like I wouldn't run the item on Orphill. I'd still run War Drum if I have the option. Electro Punch. I'm not sure why they changed that. I, I guess it nerfs doubles Albion a little bit. Doesn't change much. It also nerfs stuff like Ragnit, which didn't need it. Oh, Sting's a special move, so that's the interesting Equinox change. Uh, maybe it'll be used a bit more. I hope that they removed physical Equinox from layers at least, for sure. Nerfs Equash, that's right. With all the buffs that Equash got, it is kind of nice, I suppose. I'm glad they didn't change the priority on it, so it'll still be a counter to Nagase. I was a bit worried when I saw it on the nerf list that they were going to make it normal prio, just so that Nagase has a better matchup into the users, but that is not the case. Fairy Cage stamina cost reduction, very nice. I think it was about time for this, for sure. Not much else to say. I think that's one of the better changes too. Like you wouldn't think 3 stamina is a lot, but it is. It really is. You can save a lot of stamina TVs to put elsewhere. Stamina is like what, like eight or 10 TVs almost. Helicopter fin for melee Quaish. I know. I was laughing when I was going through the Quaish changes. Like they just completely gave up on the theme that it's actually a fish. This technique can ignore synergy double edge can ignore the evasion status condition. I don't understand why double edge is not a good buff tool. Yeah, so I guess the whole thing is that you can. What Tems give evasion? You have burrow on move flank, and you have. Do you even have generify? You can press double edge on shell. Oh, okay. Yep, that's the change then. That's still garbage. No, it's only the synergy too. Why couldn't if they can do that? Just make another move that can ignore evasion. And like, what is this? Well, Sludge Gift wasn't bad enough, so they're like, let's make Fire Flame Fire Sludge Gift. Like, come on. It doesn't like who's gonna run? Who gets that? Who even gets? I think most of them. Most fires. I don't know why the pictures aren't working. Um, the only thing that really wanted to run it was Hedge and Hoglet, but they weren't going to. And if they did, like they already have got to go fast. So I guess that's just a pointless change. I guess you can't, it won't even work with Slingshot because it's high prio now. All right, traits. All right, I'm a bit interested here. Backhanded, complete rework. When using a status condition technique, this Tem receives 1 turn of regenerating. A status condition technique. So does that include plague? You can use like plague and gust and get 10% of your health back? Or is it just talking about like status moves, stuff like Bark Shield? So you can use Bark Shield and then get a turn of regen. It is status move. Okay. Uh, the problem is the Wally doesn't have any good status moves. You, you're not going to turn the Wally into a raid boss. It doesn't have even with that, it doesn't have good consistent healing. You can spam Shy Shield and Tenderness an entire game and it's still not going to be good. You're not clicking Toxic Spores. You're not clicking Nimble. You're not clicking Photosynthesis. You could click Bark Shield, but why would you click Bark Shield when you can click, or when you can play Nid instead? With Darkness, you remove all statuses it had. That's right, it did get Darkness. Uh, yeah, that probably is what they were going for. No, that's maybe even Restore too. Are they thinking Doom's going to be that prevalent? Don't tell me what the trait is, but can somebody give me like a thumbs up or a thumbs down on the new mythical? They must be thinking Lawali is going to be the, I don't know. So I gave my suggestion for Lawali way back. I said give it 2 things: give it cheer up and give it intimidation, and keep the old backhanded because you can cheer up for a good turn 1 status move to get the Invigorized, use a strong high BP attack, and then use Intimidation to get Evasion and another Invigorized. And Intimidation is thematic as well, because the Lolly is a butterfly. They literally use their wings to scare off predators. Why does the Temtem look different? I have it on dark mode. Sorry, I just like you can catch it in the bottom corner right here. I don't know if you guys can see my mouse, but it's on the bottom row. Like you can see it a little bit. The setup's a bit scuffed because I didn't feel like changing it a whole lot today, but I still, yeah. Toxic Farewell change. I really like this. The design different. I'm not sure. Uh, This is how my design or design's always been for me. Uh, Toxic Farewell. Yeah, it's nice. I think in total it's gonna be like 14 plus 25, so it's like 39 versus the 46. So it's still an overall nerf, but it does help significantly. AOX kinetic transfer doesn't work anymore. Recover. It was 15% of the damage done as stamina. Oh my goodness. This 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 might just be the most interesting change in this entire patch. Genuinely. Oh wait. The damage. Oh, you're right. It doesn't. Okay, never mind. So it's still. That's actually a really big nerf to Toxic Farewell. Everyone's just gonna go back to Contagious Hazrat now. Lame, lame. All you. Let's just make the damage go down on both as well. Like that wouldn't be that bad of a nerf, and people would still probably run Toxic Farewell on Hazrat. But no, everyone just runs Contagious again. But yeah, this is really interesting because HP values are so much lower than stamina values, or so much higher than stamina values. So if you Electro Punch something and you deal 100 damage, which is not a whole lot, that's like 20 to 25% of your opponent's health, you still deal, or you get enough stamina back to almost click E-Punch a second time, which is nuts. I guess in combination with the P-Jab nerf is kind of the goal. Like you'll deal less damage with P-Jab, so you'll recover less stamina. So it's meant less for a support Ragnit. They want to keep Electric Custodian the support trait, and then this one be an offensive trait. I guess that's fair. I might try offensive Ragnit. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. I don't see a whole lot of exciting stuff in here. We're gonna end up in the same spot we were after a day or two, unless the new mythical's crazy. Hypnotist. Yeah, that's too much. That is way too much. Like it needed to be at least after it spent one turn, and I think that would have been just fine. But this Moala has one of the worst defensive type charts in the game. I guess it's not okay. I shouldn't say that. It's not that bad. But having a 4 times weakness and a 2 times weakness and like one resist, two resists. Yeah, but I don't know. We'll see. I don't think Hypnotist ever going to be touched again. If you're running Moala, you're running Haka. That's just how it's going to be. Every Platymus goes back to being Zen, or I mean, going back to being determined instead of Zen, unless it's a sleep control meta for some reason, which it's not going to be. But at least now there's only one Tem in the game, being Shaolant, that you can really protect your ally turn one. I don't think that's a great thing. I think there should be more options to be able to do that, but also more counterplay against it. Sleep Times gained Relax and Lullaby under DA. That's really niche, but it ain't gonna be used. Maybe Shaolant runs Lullaby. Like, who runs Relax? I've seen Relaxed on Pig and an occasional Gario. Other than that, nothing else is gonna slot it. You're not gonna want a Gario Nagaice board. It's too slow to get value anyways. So you really only, and you don't want to stack Electric Weakness with Pig either. I mean, Lullaby is all. Yeah, I guess it's not all mental types. I thought it was. You're not going to want to stack mental weakness with your Nagai, so it's just going to be the Shaolant. I guess potentially Taifu. I don't. I don't think you really want to run speedy Taifu though. We'll see. Relax on Shmeen's basically as good as Deluge now. Oh, you're right. No, it's not. You're not gonna run those two together. There's no point. Decidor we already saw. Very good change, but one good change and 20 bad ones doesn't help. Iridescence. We saw Pigment Inverter. We saw Triphytologist. This helps, for sure. Considering that Ninja still doesn't have a spread physical move, it helps to like constantly exhaust everything. Well, it's still not going to be used really much at all. Last Rush. How do you pretend to buff Kapire and then do this? Like, I already said Kapire was not getting... The buffs weren't helping Kapire much, but you're nerfing Last Rush too? It has to be close to an overall damage nerf for Kapire. The best thing that Kapire does is it's a cleaner endgame. So you get Kapire next to a neutral when you're behind in Thames. It finishes off like everything. It finishes off two things with Quetzal. Gets hold off of Meteorite when Last Rush is gone, and then that makes up for the damage boost. So didn't Kapire get bulk buffs? Yeah, that wasn't the problem with it. Fast charge nerf, boring solution. Rip Gazuma. But it does help. It needed something. I hope this is a band-aid fix and they find some better change later, but it is what it is for now. I'm surprised they didn't change this to 3 turns, honestly, but I'm fine with it. It doesn't change much. Amphitheater's still not going to be that strong. Common factor, yeah, there's the nerf expected. Skull helmet, Sinner type, yeah. So I don't know. Vitamin complex getting changed. After Temtem with his gear spends 3 turns in battle, all negatives. Why? So they want that to be another stall item for fighting against PJAB teams? Oh, no. It's for rage. That's the only thing you would want it for. Because it constantly preventing all status changes. No, because I don't know. Yeah, it's really just going to be for rage. But even then, having a rage survivor survive 3 turns, yikes, that ain't happening. So what I'm getting from this patch is they're way overvaluing defense drops. There's, I've had this discussion before. Like the defense drops just don't give enough value right now. Just because it's good against bulky teams, I guess. If you were to 4-hit KO something without it, defense drops are nice, but in general, it's just not going to help much. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. I could be wrong. Nut bar won't be activated after the holder receives damage. Gear will be enabled at the end of the turn if the holder has taken damage. I'm curious if they fixed the bug. They never responded to it, but Nutbar is supposed to only last 4 turns, but it lasts 5. This is a good change, though. I mean, it once again hits stall pretty hard, but it was used on a lot of bulky offense teams as well, and in that case, it's nice. Can be good on Volarend now, Vitamin Complex. That's true. That's true. I forgot about that. But you still want to run a stamina item on Volarend anyways. Yeah, it's not going to help anaerobic at all, because you don't need your special attack on anaerobic. It helps aerobic, though. But at the same time, how often is your aerobic Volarend surviving 3 turns? It would have to be up against physical walls and not taken, I don't know. I feel like you always run either hand fan or a stamina item, anyways. Slingshot we've seen. The idea behind new slingshot is good. This is not good. 30%. It could feel a bit weak. Values can be tweaked. Yeah, so nobody's gonna. People might touch slingshot for like the first couple days, sparkling bullet and sharp leaf, and then find out that it's just bad, and then give up. Because the thing, even if you have a 60 BP move, like non-synergy sparkling bullet, I should check just to make sure. Should just looked up Inky, because Inky would be one of the only ones that would run this. Oh, sparkling. Yeah, so non-synergy is 60 damage, but 30% of that makes it go up to 78. So it still deals less damage than an uppercut, which is already a pretty weak move. So there, I don't know. Like you'll use it on physical Inky if you're running physical Inky for some reason, and you might use it on like Phytologist's Nidrasil for Sharp Leaf, and those are about the only two situations I could think you would even consider it, considering they made Clay Ball out of range. Sweatband. I think this is a good direction. I think the stamina items have too much impact on games as of right now. Hitting at least one of them, being Sweatband, is a good start. Um, Read up here. Healing or evasion techniques. I can see they're still tilted at my evasion spam win. That's funny. I don't even think I don't. I did have Sweatband on my Amphitheater. My least picked Tem on the team. I was trying to think. Yeah. Sweatband burst nerf space key just to stall. No, it's. I mean, it definitely is a stall nerf, but it hits a lot of things. Or nobody. I guess I don't know offhand how much stamina regains normally. I think it's like for 65 stamina. How much does Sweatband give? Isn't it like 12? Or no, that's including the base regen from the turn. So at 65, it gives 7. So it's basically a nerf of 2 stamina every turn, which will hit Platimus. It's just not going to hit it hard enough. When the server's been up, I woke up late. I just wanted to go through this because some people are interested in it and give my opinions first. Building blocks gives 1 regen turn instead of. Oh, you have to be joking. You have got to be joking. Please, please tell me you're gonna. Where's the proc every 2 or 3 turns? You cannot have this proc give 10% of your health every 4 turns. You can still compare that to Nut Bar now, post nerf. Nut Bar, if it lasts for 4 turns, gives 20% if it gets hit every turn. This is so bad. This is so bad. Like, oh man, how do you kill a gear? This is a great example. Like, I'm okay with building blocks being bad for now, but the thing is, uh, I guess they're gonna keep an eye on it. Why? It's gonna be hard to keep an eye on a gear that you're never gonna see. Adam, hello. You like the background music? Yeah, added that a couple or like a week and a half ago or something. I just wanted something to keep things a little, just a little less bland. Seems like the general consensus is that people like it, so then I'm glad. This is kind of like the open gear info that they mentioned a couple months ago, which is nice. I'm glad they got around to it. So they're all gonna work like with heavy armor, where they'll be announced at the start of the turn. Um, so stuff like drill's gonna be a big one. I got best of one by drill almost during the America tournament, but I mean it's gonna matter for a lot of these. Uh, Stuff like kaleidoscope, and you're facing a hedge, even knowing if you don't want to attack something with nut bar now. Schween's horn, if Rezo was still around, he would be super happy about that. Talisman might be nice if the energy drink is lots of good stuff. This is a good change too. I think this could have happened a long time ago, but I'm glad at least we're getting it now. Fixes. I'm not planning to look through all of these. This one, I'm happy. I'm happy about this one. I should probably do this first, but I'm going to just save it for later and forget about it. Uh, I saw which one was this? There's so many. Okay, so this is the fix for slime. I was considering possibly running like a goofy slime Nagase combo. I'm not sure yet, but it might be kind of fun. So I was looking for this one specifically. This is one that I that I posted. So glad that got changed. I like how they added this one, even though we never got to experience this bug yet. Gallios. All right. All right. So that's the whole patch notes. First glance, I'm very disappointed. I Let's see if Temtem opens quick. Oh, hold on. It's gonna take up the entire screen, I think, or it just yeah. No, my scuff setup. You all are seeing it. Okay. So bad news is the server is not up yet. I I I checked the server status this morning, and they said it was. Oh, apparently I didn't scroll down far enough. It'd be over 30 minutes or so. It's been an hour and a half, or almost 2 hours. All right. I probably have about 2,000 messages to read on Discord. I'll save those for a bit later. I'll pull Temtem back up, and we'll like theorycraft just a little bit for fun. Hold on. Okay. I don't get to see what it looks like yet, which is kind of disappointing. But thank you, Tylo, for getting this already. So here we got at least all the information on the new mythical. So we can just kind of skip everything. Super high base stamina. That's the first thing I notice. Pretty strong defensive stats. It looks like it's a special attacker. Let's see these traits. Protostar. Entering the battlefield gets doomed for 5 turns. When knocked out due to doom, rivals lose 40% of its remaining HP. Revives and changes to. Oh, so it only has 1 trait, but it procs 2 times. Halloween vibes are powerful. It's actually a boss fight, but it is for like the more like carnival world in the game. I can skip on. Yeah, it is a lot of like. uh, There we go. Windmill Peak's a good one. Um. All right. So Supernova. Entering the battlefield gets knocked out due to. Okay. So it effectively has 1 trait. And the entire goal is to keep it alive for 5 turns. If you can keep it alive for 5 turns, it'll automatically deal 40% of your opponent's health, or 40% of its remaining health to both opponents. So, and I'm assuming it revives with full health. I don't know for sure. It might revive with the same amount of health. But if it dies and revives, that means it loses all of its buffs and status effects. So it's not like you can just spam like Lifeful Sap on it and Stone Walls and everything, just because it'll lose them constantly. It seems really interesting on first glance. I mean, it would be kind of fun to see an opponent like restore your opponent's Gallios just to prevent it from its trait revive cycle. But we'll hop in and see its techniques now. Clay Ball, Mud Shower. It's a special attacker, so Mud Shower, Emanip, Jinx Whisper. So it's gonna have a sleep option. Nightmare Feed. So it has self heal. Denigrate that didn't get nerfed, so it has some good damage options here. Depress as well. Transient Echo. It does get Black Hole. I'm a bit surprised by that, but it's a bulky special attacker, so even if you mimic a physical Gallios, it's just not gonna do a whole lot. Even with max TVs and attack, it still only reaches 256, which is just not that high. I mean, but for reference, let's check out Auhi and see its physical attack stat is even higher, and that's bad. Just for reference, you're not going to want to really mimic Black Hole your Gallios, but the option technically is there. Here's the signature move. Selfless Ruination. Doom counter is lowered by 2 turns, but it applies defense +2, SPDF +2, and 1 turn of evasion to the target. It's only 3 hold. It's nothing we haven't seen before. I'm curious about the animation for this move. I really want to see it. Doom counter is lowered by 2 turns. So that's really weird. Is it self-target or alt-target? Can you check that on Temtem? I guess I can hop over to the damage calc and see. Um, it looks like it's alt target because I can click it on something else. So yeah, that's really interesting. You could technically use it to lower the doom timer on your opponents. I think most of the time you're gonna want to use. I don't know. Like, why would you use it on yourself when you can use it on your opponent though? Like, you're not gonna be able to use this on your first revive. I mean, you could if you just wanted to nuke both of your opponents for 40% of your health, but you wouldn't get the defense and special defense or the evasion unless the evasion still proc, or unless the effects still proc after you've died and used the move. It's gonna be kind of like an order of operations thing. Anyone like doing math in Temtem? Uh, because if it lowers your doom counter, if we follow the order in which everything happens, this move on 3 hold would come off hold when you have 2 turns of your doom counter left. So you can use it and it would drop your doom counter by 2 turns, reaching 0. But then you revive, and if it continues afterwards, then you get +2 defense, special defense, and 1 turn of evasion. If you could do that on turn 3, I think there's a lot of interesting potential. If not, it's gonna basically be used as an offensive tool rather than a defensive one. The interesting thing here is that it doesn't lower the Doom counter. Oh, it doesn't lower, or it doesn't apply Doom itself. So you can't this thing has no ways to Doom an opponent by itself. You can pair it with like Digithreat Synergy or a Psychosis user or even like Tortonite for if you're ignoring melee. Well, you could. This might actually be a really nice pair for Tortonite. Maybe that's why they nerfed Confined, because they were wondering that it was gonna match well with this thing. Because you can Tortonite's Garden into this Selfless Ruination, and then just kill your opponent in like 2 turns. Well, I don't know. It's still really rough. You're not gonna want to run this next to Seppuku Lowaddle, because you would lose the defense buffs you'd get from sacrificing. I'm not sure. I really don't know. A lot also depends on how the revive mechanic works. Yeah. Yep. Wonder if it always lowers its own Doom or the target's one. That's a good question too. It says Doom counter is lowered. I'd assume it's the opponent, so you can still use it offensively. There's not enough. There's not a whole lot of Doom moves left. I think like the only Doom move that has 3 turns. Oh, come on. Yeah, the only Doom that has 3 turns is Extinction and Synergy Tortonite's Garden. So I guess if you run this thing next to like a Tyrannac and you Extinction into this move, it could work. Problem is that this move is actually 3 prio as well, so you wouldn't be able to combo it because Tyrannac is slow. Tyrannac is slow. So you'd have to. I know that you, you're gonna want to run this thing with Volcrane or Capire for the faster extinctions, and then run this thing slower, so you can get. I don't know, but if you use this thing as a self buff tool, it's gonna be nice that it's high prio. And Professor Tom, thank you for bringing that up because I completely overlooked that. I'm not really sure why, but yeah, that's a great point. Um, that like the Doom counter will still go down while the Tem is in the back, so you can bring it in turn 1, swap it out, and bring it out right when its Doom counter is about to expire, and its ability could proc. Interesting part is that you can kill yourself with this move, buff your partner, and revive. If it works on your own Doom counter only. That's actually it would be similar to Penance then. I don't think it's anything crazy. I guess the evasion makes it pretty crazy. But it's only +2 defense, +2 special defense. So it's high prio Quartz Shield on 3 hold that provides evasion. I'd say the most interesting thing. The most interesting thing is that this Tem, it requires attention to be dealt with. Because if you ignore it completely, then you're just gonna take, I don't know, 40% of 449, which is like, I don't know, 45 times 4. Like 180 damage every 5 turns on both of your Tems, which is almost half of a Tem's health on average. If you bring it back out, you'd have 2 turns until its signature's online, so it could use it on turn 3 of its own Doom. Yeah, if you time it perfectly, that would be great. You could even like do some cheer up shenanigans with it too. It's not like there's plenty of options here. I'm curious to see how it's gonna play out. And it does have Jinx Whisper too to create space as well. Like this Tem does not mind being OX'd. So you can just throw something asleep, get basically two holds free off of this move, and your Doom counter. So maybe you'd run a run speed for that. Max speed being 246 is not that bad. You don't need any stamina on this thing because the stamina is insane. You don't even really need to have special attack either. It doesn't have a good buff tool outside of Denigrate. It doesn't really solve the buff issue Stall had. No, that's the thing. I don't think this Tem is really designed to help Stall. You can tell the Crema doesn't like Stall. This is more meant to be like a bulky offense Tem, I believe, where it's just designed to counter. Because it's force, you have to deal with it. It creates space for your ally. It's almost like the same thing as seeing a Lowaddle on the board. It's just that this thing has a way better defensive type chart. Because you're not going to leave a Lowaddle there because it'll get a penance or a sacrifice off, or it'll speed control you and then into a blue screen. So you have to target Lowaddle, but because it's so weak to everything, it ends up swapping out all the time or taking a ton of damage. Also, kind of similar to like a heat up or even Oshiara. On a scale from 1 to 10, how happy do you think you are with this Temtem patch? I'd say about -3. I'm just explaining for everyone else here. Just kind of my thoughts. I am probably at like a 3 or a 4 so far with this patch. But I've been surprised before. I have been surprised. Unironically, a 9 or a 10. That's surprising. Why is that? You're always going to run Dust Vortex as your offensive move. If you're not running any attack, you're probably going to you might even just want Transient. Umanip is kind of bad. I don't think you're going to want to run it much. This thing really lacks in like mental special attack options. Like even Mix has Psy Surge on top of Emanip and Denigrate. You're now glad that they pissed you off enough last patch to uninstall the game again, and this patch does not entice you enough at all to go back. That's unfortunate to hear, but completely understandable. For sure. Problem with this Tem is that it's weak to water, and Oshiara Plat are still there. Yeah, but at the same time, it resists Toxic, which was also like the second most popular type last patch. And the thing is, Toxic Tick apply a status, so you'll probably just try and apply double status to this thing. All it takes is like one handcuffs to make this thing useless. Like if you break the Doom cycle, you all of a sudden just ignore the Tem entirely. But it technically does resist Toxic, which is the second most popular type last meta. Maybe no, it was the top. Like every team had 3 or 4 Toxics at least, and Wind was like way up there too. So it's nice in that way. It's just I don't know. I don't think it's enough. Having Nightmare Feed when Jinx Whisper is the only sleep option feels bad too. because unless you run adrenaline shot, you're never going to be able to make use out of it. I think they way overestimate Nightmare Feed. Like they threw it on Cowran too, and it's just not going to be enough. Like Cowran's never going to click it. Um, yeah, no news on the server being up yet. Yeah, I don't. I'm. Let's. I guess I'll just try and theory craft a team. So when I'm making teams, I didn't touch on this in my team building video, I think. But once a meta has kind of been established, what I like to do is I like to put together a team that has all the problem Tems on it, and then look at its defensive type chart and find a weakness. I wish I could see the pictures. Like I know what everything is, but it just kind of throws me off a little. Um, you still think Nightmare Feed and Horror are only good if you use them with a partner that has sleep options, and that's usually terrible turn economy. Yeah, yeah, usually. At least Nightmare Feed doesn't wake up like Horror does. Doesn't the Doom reapply on entering the field when it gets removed? So a status. That's another good point to bring up. So handcuffs or like pushing off the status doesn't completely nerf it or make it useless because it can be removed and added back on. But the thing is, it won't reapply if it has the Doom counter. So if you swap it in to get the Doom counter of 5 and then swap it out and swap it in later, it will not reapply because it already has the status. So that much is good. But also, if it gets pushed off, it can still be useful. It's just that if you've probably already taken damage, and you'd rather just get value from it being on the field. I almost think its trait is going to be like a secondary concern with this thing. It's not going to be an offensive threat. It's going to be just an annoying tank that you have to deal with. Like with sleep control from Jinx Whisper, potential health damage, like pure damage just from its trait, I suppose. I mean, denigrate spam. I don't know. I feel like it's just going to be similar to Adora more or less. Oh, I should pull up the patch notes again. Oh yeah, they revealed the mount there. Yeah, so I had a big stupid at the start of this. At the start, I was like, "Is this the mythical?" Because I had no idea. Like they showed us its feet, and it kind of looked like that. It almost looked like the bottom part's mental and the top part's earth. But it was like Goofy that had the inky forehead. Maybe I thought maybe they were related in some way, but I got quickly corrected. All right, I'm gonna scroll through the changes real quick and just see once again like if there was anything notable. I don't think any of the chromions are going to be used more than they were before. People will experiment towards the start, but in general, like they're not going to be more consistent than the current options. So, like, I was hoping Drought would get buffed because Earth Chromion got it, and that's really interesting, but it did not. Drought just is kind of a rough move. It always has been. It has very niche use, so it's not the worst move in the game, but not going to get any use on any of these. Now, guys, people will experiment with this also. It would be kind of like it. The thing is that Platimus still counters Nagais because while Nagais can flip Aquatic Whirlwind on its head, Platimus also typically runs Rotten Goo, which makes Rotten Goo would be high prio, and still hitting the guy is super effective. Also, it can't stop Toxin Shower anymore. Might even see Water Custodian more just to deal with Oshiara Platamus sort of stuff. So I just don't think the Nagai's changes are nice, but it's not going to change anything. Cowering is still just going to be used on stall. There's no reason. People will probably try and run it on Doom cores with the new mythical. Weakness stacking feels bad though, and Psychosis isn't the best way to apply Doom. Koish's, I don't see anything crazy with the Koish's. Electric Koish got quite a few buffs. Still going to be niche. Fire Koish might be somewhat viable again, like I said. I don't need to go through the whole patch notes and Galeos, Chromion stuff, yeah. Oh, right. Grandpa, I forgot. That's got a new trait. Bird Season. Damage Delta Wind Technique arcs is with wind increased by 50% on targets with the wind type. So it's not that wind is super effective against other winds, like was originally suggested, like a 200 or a, wait a sec, 50%. That's not even that that doesn't even completely cancel out the stab or the resist. That's I that's rough. It should have been at least 100%. I think 100% would be fine to just not be resisted by other winds. It still gets resisted by electric types, and it's a monotype with one of the lowest staminas in the game. I think that would be a fine niche to have, but it still just falls under the support category with like Hypnosis Turbo and a rare Hypoxia or Tornado or maybe even Windburst to save stamina because it's so low. Yeah, the Grandpa won't be used any more than it currently is. Amphitheater, I'm sure people will experiment with it. I can't it'd be kind of nice for dealing with Oshiara, but it still loses to Platamus, which is rough. Capyra changes we already went through. That doesn't matter. Like it's a 5 base attack buff for losing 7% on last rush hurts. I just don't think it's worth it. Speed and bulk don't matter here. Oh, Alhi. Fury doesn't help it. Bruiser's way more interesting still, or just way more consistent. Uh, we might see more Alphys actually, just because it's a pretty solid wind. It counters Mashuk well. It counters Hazrat. It loses to Adoro, but if the Adoro nerfs actually matter, maybe. I don't think they were big enough. And it can hit Garender with Oshidashi super hard because it has a lower physical defense, so that's kind of nice. What does Fury do again? It increases damage by 33% when below 33% health. So it's very hard to get below that health threshold and to get damage off at the same time. Because chances are, if you're that low health, you'll just be finished off by a priority move. But it is interesting, it gets telekinetic shrapnel now, so it has more coverage. So it has a better matchup into opposing melees. It's just there's not a whole lot of melees that are meta right now. So, and why not just run a mental at that point? I guess you're not weak to crystal either. I don't know. Proneant doesn't matter. Tortonite, I think it'll be experimented with, but I don't know. I'm trying. Would these buffs matter for offensive Tortonite? I don't think so. You can make Tortonite bulkier, but it could be like okay as a reactive vial offensive Tem. Kind of interesting at Walls Garunder. Problem is what the other main toxics you have to watch out for are Hazrat, Mashuk, and Adoro. So it's like you can wall half, but then the other half also hit you really hard. Like Hazrat actually completely walls Tortonite, so yeah, it's not going to see a lot of use. Inky buffs are kind of a nice touch, but Nah. I mean, Gulder already has both Bamboozle and pollution, so it doesn't change. Nothing. We'll see less Gazimas and Digis. Shmeen, Valiar, doesn't matter. I don't think these nerfs are going to be impactful on Adoro, so we'll probably still see it. We'll just throw it on here for now and then change it later. Tukai, I don't know why it got Turbine. It's weird. Kind of hard to slot Tortonite if it will still be Volphy, Turok, and Tuva. Yeah, yep. Valor, Volcrine. Yeah, like Acronox. That was right. That was one of the more interesting changes. Okay, so if you just look at this, Acronox is way more interesting. I should throw Vulcan, Volphy, Turok on the team, just so you have a better idea. Because if you just have these four, Acronox looks amazing. Even Volphy is, or Acronox is even pretty strong against Volphy, but it loses hard against Turok, and it's not great against Tolkien either. But it would be a consideration for sure. Yeah, that type chart is just dumb. Um, if we ignore the bulk buffs, it was interesting. Oh yeah, I'm mainly talking about the Sting thing. I'm just going through here to kind of review everything. Quaish, who cares? It's just nothing. We'll still see the Quaish cheese every once in a while. Moala. Technically, it's another melee option. With digitals being less common because of the Gazuma nerf, maybe. It's just the problem is that Haka does. As far as I know, Haka doesn't reach any breakpoints for it to matter. Hotems learns Voltaic Charge. I think it's just Golzi's Albion. It's a bad trade, anyways. Didn't get buffed. Venmet Vental buffs don't matter. They just don't. Like, in what situations do you want Vental? You mean the stamina one? Kinetic transfer is purely it's a Reignitz signature. Yeah, yeah. Um, yeah. I can't see Vental being used any more than it currently is. Like, Vental can hit everything other than Mix for at least neutral damage, and it can hit pretty hard with Spiritual. But you're gonna get hit hard by Platinum by like almost everything here. Like even your defensive side being buffed decently well, you're still not gonna want to eat like a Lava Wave or a Wastewater or a Stone Ball or a Turbine or anything. You don't have enough speed or priority to work with. Arachnite, I can't see a reason to run Arachnite over like Momo right now. They buffed Knockback even. Volgon, I can't think of. There's just not enough synergy dependent teams that can really take use of these Volgon buffs. In the teams where Volgon is already used, it'll be nice, but in general, it's just not enough. The techniques, like Waspin's dead. Goring, Moonflank will stay relevant, so people might start slotting a mental on their teams just to at least deal with it somewhat. I don't even know what mental you would go with. It's probably Sandby. I don't know. Maybe people just on this team, people just go move flank. Sandby's more the count, or like a mental's more the counter meta option because you don't want to stack 4 electric weaknesses here. Hello Kip, welcome. Yeah, I woke up super early so I could stream and still get to class. I just kind of been reviewing everything and expressing my unfortunate disappointment. New Chromion's cool, but like, which one is going to be used? The problem is that None of these changes matter. None of the chromions, none of the koishes, none of them are going to be more consistent than this. If somebody can tell me what beats this, I'd love to hear it. I know that there would be some stuff that does, but in general, this is just a really solid pain in the butt team. Like this is what you're building against every time you build a team. Mental's easy to slot Adoro, yeah, yeah. Well, I'm sure we'll still see Adoro. Water, yes. Water Chromion was something that was very interesting. It could be, but the problem is that without fast charge, and like you're still competing with Oshiara and Platimus for the water slot, so it's gonna be hard to slot Chromion. Last Rush Nerf and BST. I already, yeah, that's awful. Sludge gifts with on Earth Chromion. It's interesting for sure, but Earth Chromion it's such a bad type, and Sludge gift just isn't enough to fix it. If you want an Earth type, you're running Turok or you're running a Wolfie. I don't know why I brain farted there. They haven't changed Vocal, Water Chromium plus Nature Quaish. Yeah, yeah. The fact that the Nature Chromium didn't get nerfed just ensures that Toxics aren't going away anytime soon. I don't think Water Chromium plus Nature Quaish is going to be that crazy. I mean, yeah, you could Pigment Inverter like Water Blade into a Water Cutting Lily, but you miss out on the damage from the second Water Cutting that you're just not going to be able to KO stuff. It would be kind of interesting in like a if they were both built bulkier, I suppose. But you still can't face a. I guess you'd have to run Iridescence Quaish to face the Toxics. So it could potentially be interesting. Hoglip has a 3 prio fire move. If only Fast Charge didn't get gutted. Yeah. Refreshing Breeze was interesting. Piercing Wheel, I'm sure people will experiment with Zyzare, but it's just not going to break into this. Like, Zyzare can't touch Turok, Volfi, Platimus, or Oshiara. It doesn't even do much against Move Flank. Knockback ensures Momo will always have some use. Like I said, Electric Storm was a nice touch. I don't think it needed it, but I'm going to appreciate this more than most changes. Petrify, even with all those changes, isn't going to change much. Nothing, 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 nothing. Electro Punch hurts more than anything. None of these traits. The kinetic transfer was interesting. Problem is, there is one electric on this team. All right, and I don't know. No, you're not. You'd run kinetic transfer. I don't know. I bet Ragnar's going to see use now. I might try it. I think I'm going to try and make a Ragnet team while we wait for the server to come back up. Iroquois still takes more damage and doesn't deal any to Toxics. Yeah, yeah. 12 and a half damage. Hypnotist, this one hurt. This one was too much. Yeah. Oh, maybe Nidrasil's gonna be interesting too. I wanted to try like a stamina drain team. Kind of, but I just I don't think it can beat this. I don't. Does Amphitheater even match well into this? I guess it's another electric which can hit stuff. But it can't hit Garunder. Nature typing isn't that great. Maybe Amphitheater will see some success. Maybe. I'm not sure. Happy that the P-Gerb nerf was fake. Yeah. Fake it was, yeah. Gears aren't, yeah. Alright. So here we have what we're trying to beat. And if my Temtem loads, all right. So we got a kinetic transfer Ragnet. What else? Stamp control is too slow and to just hit hard. Yeah, that's the well. Thing is that the two hard hitting moves with OX are usually will OX or with exhaust. Yeah. So if you can survive 2 hits and apply exhaust, it's kind of reasonable. And now with stuff like ultrasound being 2 turns, I've been really interested to try like stamp control stall Piranha and stuff like intimidation a bit more. But I'll have to look at that another time. I mean, like even this Ragnet, I would probably run Electro Punch, Hypnosis, Ultrasound, maybe maybe Turbine. Because like the thing is, it doesn't need a lot of stamina. It for the trait to get value. But even at this point, you'd probably just run Electric Custodian. You'd probably on an offensive team want Perfect Jab, Turbine, maybe even Held Anger or just Paizo because Paizo's less stamina. Tesla, please. Well, the thing, like, did you read New Kinetic Transfer, Kip? You recover stamina based on how much damage you deal. So you can more or less have an infinite stamina machine with Ragnet now. So you're gonna want to be clicking offensive moves. So yeah, that's a good point. Ragnet probably just still isn't that good. The only thing this really does is allow it so that if you have a team that's not electric weak, you have a trait still, but you're probably always just gonna run Hypnosis, Ultrasound, and then P-Jab or Turbine, whichever one. Maybe even Cage in the last slot. You probably don't even bother running Turbine. Only reason you would do that is for running into stuff like Acronox or I guess Volphy. Yeah. Dang it. I was really hoping Ragnar would be really interesting and fun. But yeah, it's just not looking like it. It's still just in a really rough spot. Um, no server update yet. Should give it Meteor Swarm. Yeah, I mean, a lot of electric types could get fire coverage, and a lot of fire types could get electric coverage. It would be interesting. I don't know about how healthy it would be. I know people were talking about giving like Drakash Sparks or something. You want to fix that team? Let's see what it looks like. Good luck. All right, so what do we add next? uh, I don't know if you can salvage this team because you lose Hypnotist, which makes Contemplation rough. It makes Zen Earth a lot more. You lose a lot of MIDI value. You're not. There's no point in running MIDI anymore. The whole point was for the Hypnotist combo. Threat. Add another bird for turbo. But then you just get rid of Contemplation Tutsu and you turn this into a tag team core. I mean, you throw on Grandpa, it has Hypnosis, and it's got its new trait to beat up opposing wins slightly. Change to tag team. Weakness chart. Got kind of a mental weakness. So You throw a Digi on here? What Digi would you even throw? What I think is the biggest winner between the Koish is Electric Koish, 100%. Electric Koish was already good and it only got buffs. A Chromion? You want it to be a Pigment Inverter Chromion or not? So, I mean, it probably shouldn't be because you want to hit mentals. But at the same time, being able to hit like a neutral with a Pigment Invert or something, and then PI still. Oh, you're right. I gotta get used to that. It's gonna be tough. Whoa, viewers spiked. Hello, everyone. We're just kind of theory crafting while we're waiting for the server to come back up. You only have one electric, so Toxic probably isn't the play. Melee Quaish with Sinner Typer wouldn't be bad. Honest, maybe that is the play. Because you get Sinner Typer with Tutsu and Mashuk. Mental for Deluge or Zeno is bad. Yeah, that's a good point too. But then do you go PI then? I don't know. I think this team's gonna be really rough to salvage. Not that you can. You also continue to you make your electric weakness a bit worse. I know you have the Ragnit there, but you get less P-Jab value because I just added 2 special attackers to your team. Digichromion for the extra strong token. I'm so disappointed they added Overclock to Digichromion instead of Arachnite. Okay. Now, one of the big things I thought about like last night when I was trying to like think of teams ahead of time was now with DA gone, we have our speed control gets a lot more value. So I was trying to think of some better speed control. I don't think Raze, even with priority with Fire Flame, is viable. I think it's still just in too rough of a spot. I think Roots Lawaddle could have a place. It already had some success last patch. Problem is that most Platimus is going to be running Determined now. Well, I'll just kind of keep that in mind. Hello, Lucas. Welcome. You'll figure something out, like remove Xeno Tally and MIDI. Is DA unlimited now? I guess I don't know. I thought it was still 4 turns. Yeah, it's still 4 turns. Oh, no way. The guy still loses 15% of its health? I hope that's just untested. I really hope so. Oh, Tylo, hey. Yeah, I think they removed that, but we'll have to test it once the servers come back up. For sure. Somebody's gotta. You haven't seen the in-game description? Yeah. I wasn't able to get in the time it was up either. You fought some PvE quests and it doesn't lose? Okay. So it's... So I guess we don't know for sure if it's 4 turns or not. Or if it's unlimited either. You think this said unlimited? No, yeah. I just... Gotcha. And to respond to your comments, Belly, about Magmut, Magmut still isn't that great. Like... Because like this is the team you're going up against, and they have 2 waters, like 2 earths, and as far as what Magma hits super effective, there's no crystals. The only nature is Volphy, so you can't really utilize your fire typing, and your melee typing only gets value against the 2 earths, which you're also weak against. Magma shines in a crystal heavy meta, stuff like it completely walls Gyalis, which can be useful, but Gyalis just isn't that strong right now. I mean, you'll see Gyalis every once in a while. Well, what other crystals are you even looking out there for? You're not gonna see Mudrid. You're not gonna see Zenarith. Valash you'll see sometimes. Mix, no. Tuvine, well, it's Tuvine and Chimerian, which I guess are the two you're going to see most often, and it's kind of nice. But at the same time, you could just use Tolkien, and it's a better fire type. You need Doom Answers, at least for the first few weeks. I don't think it's going to be nearly as bad. How bad is the Alhi buff? It's almost useless. Telekinetic Shrapnel's kind of nice, but the Fury change, determined for Fury, just isn't going to matter. You're always going to run Bruiser. It's more consistent. Wasn't here when I talked about the new Temtem. Was my thoughts. To put it briefly, since I covered it in extent later, it's super interesting. I think it's going to be fun, but I don't think it's going to be viable competitively. I think the problem is that this core just didn't get changed at all. It just you're constantly competing with this, and it's too strong. You have to find something that can beat this, and there's just not a whole lot of options. The only triple weakness is electric, but you have stuff like Volfi Turok and a potential Tuvine for like the move flank spot to cover it. So I guess I should probably just put Tuvine here anyways, because that's just what you're going to run into more often. You cover fires so well. You might even throw Chimerian in this slot. So then you kind of have a melee weakness a bit you can take advantage of. I think mentals might see some use, but I don't think there were any mentals that really got buffed. Like Moala got nerfed more than it did buffed. Oh, we got a little picture of it. Still can't see the full thing, and I still haven't seen it in game, but we can see its face now. That actually looks really sick. I like it. There's screenshots and official. I have not been able to read because I got on and I just hopped on stream. Sorry for showing it, but like I thought you were coming in here expecting spoilers. I literally had like everything's out technically. It's just we can't access everything right now. Anyone know when the server goes back up? Nobody knows. Luma Portrait's also updated. Oh my goodness, that is amazing. For pure design alone, I love it. I love it. That is almost one of those. I can't wait to farm Umbras of that thing, right? Years of my life, poof, gone. All right. Speed control, though. You know, maybe Grandpa with the new trait won't be as bad as I thought. Because the thing is, it counters toxics and it still counters winds to an extent. The only other thing that does that is like Gazuma, which got hit. So what did it replaced Last Rush, which is kind of a weird choice. I would have expected them to replace Bully, but I guess there's enough players who think Bully's very strong that they kept it around. Bully's interesting. I just still think it needs a boost. It needs to either activate on all status effects or it needs to do more damage. But that's my opinion. This deck's electric weakness though. I don't know. Maybe I'll make a Grandpa team rather than a Lowaddle team for now. So we got Grandpa. So we kind of want stuff that can take advantage of Turbo. We'll want at least another Wind. Maybe we try Alhi too, just for fun. We're gonna want some crystals. Pivot around the electric weakness. Mudra does not get any turbo anymore, so that can't really work. Put Ragnet in there. That's true. That's true. I could. I mean, Tuvine's always good, but it doesn't actually resist electric, so I'd want something that does. I should probably. I think we're gonna see Chimerian more often now. I suppose that's something I didn't account for in this. This Tuvine probably always is Chimerian now, just as a good counter to Nagase, just in case people run it. Inky, I like Inky, but I don't know. Since Volphy didn't lose Sludge Gifting, he's still kind of in a rough spot. It'll have use. We'll see how the meta develops a bit more. Everything is just kind of conjecture for now. You got to figure out your mono nature team again. Yeah, too bad no Spreeol buffs. So if we start with these three, I mean, Owly kind of beats Chim too. Like, let me just see. Like P-Jab, I just don't think it's going to be worth running. I think Helicopter Kick gives too much value, especially on Owly. Oshidashi's crazy. Here it is. Telekinetic's fun now, and then you probably just go Turbine for Prio, and a wind option. I mean, this Owly set gets countered by Nagase, so you're gonna have to worry about opposing Nagase. But oh, hold on, I gotta close my window. Sorry about that. They're like leaf blowing outside, and that was really loud. Uh, yeah. So this because Turbine is the way you would normally hit Nagase on a win since there was this melee, but it's Prio, it would actually flip and be low Prio, and that would be rough. Chromion lost Generify. I saw that and I was sad. Danger didn't deserve. Yeah. About Inky. I can consider putting Inky. I can just throw it on here as a placeholder until I figure out something better. It's one of the strongest electric attackers, which is nice, but we'll see how everything goes, like I said. Thoughts on Minnow, Tuvine, Turok, Volphy in the meta, too much for it? Minnow gets a little bit better now that Decidor's gone. But Minnow's problem isn't as much its defensive typing as much as it is its offensive. It's just not really a mental offensively. It only has Black Hole to work with. And Black Hole alone is not a. You can't offensively hit turn one. When you do want to hit, you have to have an Earth next to you. Otherwise, you're hitting low prio always. And then even then, if your opponent swaps, you all of a sudden don't have a mental move again. There's also not enough neutrals or melees in the meta to justify having another mental. So you're basically just hitting with electric type moves. So you're running a Tem with a worse defensive type chart as a pure electric, more or less. I missed the follow. Jacob Ice, thank you so much. I guess the follower notification. I should have that on top. My bad. All right, there we go. Sorry about that. Like I said, this whole setup's a little bit jank, just because I've been trying to. I just wanted to get this out there for you guys and have everyone be able to see. DA should be ignorable now, probably. Not really. Problem is like a lot of the stuff you want to hit Nagase with, like Plague, like DC Beam, just Prio just won't work. And there's not a lot of low Prio options to flip everything around with. So you're basically forced to run an Electro Punch user or a fast normal electric, which Inky does fit that. Amphitheater also fits that. Problem is that like mental, like Nagase still can't break through this trio here. Oshiara, Platimus, Garunder. Oshiara also can't hit Nagase. But Platimus and Garunder both can. Hazard at Wastewater is still pretty speedy and can KO Nagase. Chimerian, like I said, will counter it. So really the only change that we're going to see in the meta, I think, is just two vines are going to be Chimerians. You're going to see Chimerian more often. Rise of Water Custodian Naga. If it was offensively a bit strong, like if Naga got a move in compensation, I think we would have seen it. Yeah. Tuvine also deals with Naga. The thing is that like it'll get outsped. You can't turbine to outspeed and finish it off chip wise. You could get a Prio Diamond for it off technically, but like a Nagase Fury to a Tuvine is going to deal at least 40%. So it's not as great of a counter as it sounds like. But and you're gonna calc your Naga to survive a CPG. It ain't that hard. Like if I just go to the damage calculator quick, and I'm pretty you might not even need any investment. I'm not sure if you updated all of the individual defense buffs, but let's just pretend even with the old stats. Okay, if I can type correctly. Yeah, it should be updated. Okay, yeah, yes, we do appreciate all your hard work. So it's less than 100 HP TVs. If you're invested in defense, it shouldn't. Wow, you got everything. Did you get the patch notes ahead of time? No, that's really awesome. So you can invest less than 100 HP and survive two Vine CPG, but it's a lot harder to do that with Chimerian, and you definitely wouldn't be able to live a Frond Whip. Hostile. Yeah, so that's kind of the difference here. And the other thing is Chimerian also resists Nagai's Fury. So that's why Chimerian will always be a better counter to Nagais than Tuvine. And the thing is, like, Tuvine doesn't offer a whole lot that Chimerian can't instead. Yeah. Oh. Maybe we'll try Amphitheater as well. Settling Amphitheater has potential, and you're able to cover the toxic weakness with the double wind too. So then you're more worried about fires now. So what kind of waters do we have available other than water chromium? Psypat's always cool. Whiplump really didn't get anything. Piranha buff was so sad. How do we have that full feedback thread and then nothing gets done about it? Or was that meant for 1.6? I thought they did it early enough they could get it in 1.5, but I love Piranha. Why do they have to not just energy reserves needs to be changed. It needs some way to proc itself. Add a Koish flavor, but the problem is like Koish has lost a lot of initial water pressure with using water cannon. Like they have water jet now, but it's just not going to be that consistent. Probably looking at 1.6 to make a larger change. Yeah, I was really hoping that they would. Well, the thing is, so last patch they said they were sharpening identities, and that's why they removed so many moves. And it's like I can understand that. You want to remove some of the stuff that Tems aren't going to use, and in place give them new tools that fit them better. The problem is this is the first full patch we've had with that new balance theme, and we saw like no new tools being added. We saw stats. Like I can't think of there was not a single tool given to a Tem where I'm like, this is interesting and this is going to help this Tem. Not a single one. They did not. Uh, that's what I'm disappointed in. They change everything and have a new balance direction, and it just doesn't change. Ness is always kind of nice. Electric immunity, but still offers the water typing. Shares the toxic and crystal weakness though, so also the electric storm buff helps Nessa significantly. Horns Bobble is still strong. Just three natures. On this team, yeah, no, that's not going to be the play. I probably shouldn't even have this many because toxics are still going to be so prevalent. I mean, even like 3 wins still has a hard time breaking through Platimus Garunder has, right? Because Platimus has Toxin Shower if you're slower than it. Garunder has Thick Skin and electric moves, and then Hazrat. I guess without Toxic for a while, maybe people will look at replacing Hazrat. Gonna see. You're gonna need to play around with Current Tube. You were excited about Speedy Stoneball and Earthwave. Yeah, I just don't think Cowern's gonna fit offensively real well. I think it'll still just be best as a support. One of better Tukai changes. And Tukai's held back by its typing more than anything, I think. It's not like Tukai's a bad Tem. If Bulk ever gets nerfed instead of buffed, because you can deal spread damage, but the thing is, if each Tem takes like three hits to KO, the spread doesn't matter. If you can effectively deal 4 hits with 2 Kai, it could be good in 2 attacks, but you just can't do that. And that's the problem. Yeah, so I have a toxic of my own here. I mean, Mashuk's always good. I was considering trying out Nidrasil, but Nidrasil's it'd be nice to have a toxic that doesn't get walled by toxics. I was thinking about Nox because Nox gets like hypnosis. That's not hypnosis. Hypnosis turbo. It even gets pollution, which like a 25% stam drain. Like once you're faster, is actually really nice. The helmet change was very underwhelming. Oh, for sure. I thought they'd if they weren't gonna up the damage resists, I thought that they'd add something like this. Somebody else was saying like I think it was either Lulu or East during the cast yesterday. I think they were saying that it'll remove the secondary effects of melee and mental moves. So stuff like Denigrate wouldn't lower special attack and P-Jab wouldn't lower defense. That would have been cool. That would have helped. It would have made the trade a little bit more useful at least. Uh, but like no more exhausts. You already lost Stoneball, which was one of the main problems with stamina you had. So kind of whatever. Faraday Digiquash is funny, and it also has Generify. Yeah, I thought the same thing, but funny is about where it ends. I guess being a Digitype with effectively no weaknesses with Iridescence, it has an advantage. It's more like it's probably about the closest thing you can get to a second 2-wire. But now that 2-wire common factor is only 1 turn, it's actually kind of garbage. It could not have stayed 2 turns with the defensive buffs it got, but I don't think it needed to go down to 1 turn. I honestly think 2-wire was really close to being in a fine position, so I don't think it needed that change at all or any changes. But it got some, so that's what we got. Huh. I don't even know what you would. I don't even know what the optimal Nox set is actually. Because if you run Toxic Ink and then Toxic Skin, you're actually getting less value because Toxic Ink has anti-synergy with Toxic Skin. But if you run Trance, you just get the healing and you don't get the damage boost on anything. So it's kind of weird that way too. I'll have to put some more thought into that. I feel like if you're running Nox, you always want Hypno and Turbo. It's basically the same thing as Grandpa. It's just that you get it to be a different type, which is an advantage. Let's see what else. Got lots of water resists, so I could throw in a water weak on here. Throw in a fire type, I suppose. I've got 2 earth resists as well. But the thing is, like, what fire type do you run? Kapyra didn't get helped out. Magmat's too slow. Raiken with no neutrals feels bad. Hedgen's almost too fast, doesn't get any benefit. Tolkien, you could run Tolkien, but it's Tolkien. Volcrane. Volcrane. What did they change with this thing again? It got like Rockfall and special defense buff for some reason. Oh, I mean, Stone Trench got stamina nerf. That's not even the great thing because it's harder to proc Vigorous. Because before you probably wouldn't want to, but you were able to hook into Stone Trench to OX with Vigorous. And then if you had like Adrenaline Shot, you could get a Ninja or a Meteorite off after that. I know they gave it Smoldering Kiss for synergy with Receptive and a turn 1 fire option, but it's just if you're running a turn 1 fire, you're running Embers. Burn value is so good. Stone Trench. Stare. I don't like defense drop moves right now. They're just not great. No, I mean, I don't. There's not a whole lot of point in running Hook. I guess technically, if you ran Hook in a turbo team and you got the turbo off with the Hook, it would be pretty useful. Maybe that is the play. Weakness chart's not that bad. How many TVs do you need in a Volcrane to live a soil steam, I wonder? I guess I might as well calc for soil steam from a max special attack Karen, because that's what I could potentially run into. Even 100 special, yeah, its special defense is still trash. Even 145 straight TVs in special defense just isn't really value. So you really don't want to get hit with Volcrane, or you'll only want to play it against physical Tems, which is understandable. It's good that it still has that special defense weakness. I don't. It's kind of weird that it got buffed in the first place. Well, Shallot Welcomer, cheer up into Volcrane. It's kind of like a cheese lead. What happens when Shallot gets banned? All of a sudden, Volcrane is crippled, which is not good. It's already got scoliosis. Give him a break. Uh, yeah. I mean, I can actually add a mental on here. I don't have a digi mental because I think mentals are going to be good to deal with move flanks primarily. There's no there's like Garunder and Tremorian, so you just have a matter teleport user. Honestly, Mental Coish was one of the bigger winners of the patch. Maybe Mental Coish is better than Electric Coish. There was the question earlier, which Coish got the best buffs. I think Mental Coish is definitely up there. Because they got Ultrasound and Transient. Also has Black. Did it have Black Hole before? Maybe it had Ultrasound before. No, I think it had Black Hole before and it got Ultrasound and Transient. Kind of tempting to swap out Matter Teleport for Ultrasound or even Ice Cubes. I'm not sure. You're cooking something else, Kip? It's the same team. You just. Why doesn't your Volgon have adrenaline shot? I think you forgot. I. What does Volgon even give synergy to here? Like turbo? You don't have. I mean you run toxic. You don't have, you don't see your own. Maybe you don't run toxic plume then. Electro punch synergy. And Chromion, but you already get synergy with Volgon being an electric. I guess the thing is you just want Volgon, but you don't want to lose the stat buffs with Short Circuit. Turbo with Camo. Okay, yeah, that's awful. But Turbo with Strangle also feels bad. But Water Mental is such a weird type. You probably still go Iridescence on it, just because you don't need the Synergy Master. If you need a second mental to deal with something like move flank, you still have Aulhi here. Still no news on the server. At this rate, I might just end the stream now and then head to my classes and come back in this afternoon and do a second stream. Just because I don't want to sit here for another hour just theory crafting stuff when I kind of want to get into the game, check out that new route, try the new layer and everything. Someone explained to you how the new Quest trait works. It's like every effective attack hits neutral, but do 12. So it's not just it completely. Both of it. It's offensive and or it's everything here. Oh, actually, Tylo, if you're still here, it says that you take a quarter damage from electric with iridescence. So I'm not sure how you're gonna do that with the new iridescence, but just something to add on. Uh, Yeah. So new iridescence. So no matter what type you get hit by, whether it would normally be super effective or not very effective, you take 12.5% damage, regardless from everything. You got stuff to do. Yeah. I mean, I definitely. I just figured I noticed it. So just add it to a post-it note and deal with it later. Yeah. 20 minutes to an hour. 12 minutes ago. I think I got class in like half an hour. I was debating on skipping, but thing is, I might just go. So all hit neutral, but you get 12.5% more damage taken. Yep, that's basically it. Because if you took neutral damage or you took 1x from everything, it was actually quite strong. Because you still have 76 base attack and it has a lot of hard hitting moves. So they kind of nerf it by making everything do just a little bit more damage to you. But in compensation, they did give Koish more bulk, so it's still pretty reasonable. I'm curious to see how the Koishes are going to be played and if they're going to be played a lot or not. It'll be harder to reach that 3-hit KO breakpoint, but at the same time, you actually what what is the strongest turn one outside of like Inky T Strike and Stone Ball or Iron Coating Restizizer? I mean, I think it's Matter Teleport Sandby because if I search by attack stat, I guess it might just be Stone Ball's Iron Coating Zyzer just without rested, but I don't think I'd calc for that because well, yeah. So assuming that the damage calculator is at least updated correctly, I'm not sure, but we'll test it out. It is cool, cool. Iridescence, yeah, there we go. So your goal is essentially to live 2 of these. I should probably just put like 200 in it. So it's actually not that bad. Because you already take the high damage into account. You could account for some, like a strong secondary attack as well. Stuff like let's just throw a Nukama out there with Aquatic Whirlwind. Hydrologist, special attack. Okay, that hurts pretty bad. You'd probably need almost 500 HP. Even then, it still just barely kills with 2 super strong. Oh, on which island is the new route to Pansun? Even showing in the log is one. Oh, yeah, you're right, right there. So scared of max attack Sambi. I. It's just the strongest flat damage turn one you can take. outside of like the absurd stuff because Sambi has a crazy attack stat and Matter Teleport has 115 base damage. And I mean, outside of Zyzare, the next strongest Stone Ball is it would have been Kaurin, but it's Rolder. Neither of which like you're not going to see Rolder really, so you don't have to account for it. Sandbees you will run into. Maybe not max attack ones because bulk is super valuable nowadays, but you never know. You can actually sack some bulk on Sandbee in order to hit harder. I'm pretty sure this would live Serbs and Water Blade anyways. I'd probably actually just want to put like I don't know 400 HP and like 100 special defense. That still takes it out just barely. So I don't know. Maybe you'd invest just a little bit more than 500 TVs in defense on your Koish, but then you're almost guaranteed to live 2 hits. You want to know what speed you reach? I did the calcs yesterday. I'm pretty sure it was like from base. It's uh, I think it's like 194, 195. Yeah, 194. 194 if you I'm pretty sure that outspeeds I think it's like max speed or like base speed or max speed base speed Shellant. It's just Shellant. Oh, Shellant's 196, so not quite. Not that you're gonna run into a base speed Shellant. You might run into a base speed anything slower than that. I guess. I mean, what are you running? Like maybe a base speed move flank or an Acronox or something. But it's just not going to be super great. 320 invest to reach 306. Vola Tuvine, yeah, but I mean, so I ignore those because Vola resists Earth, and then Tuvine commonly runs Determined. But those technically are two breakpoints. Yeah. It's really just going to be Acronox and slow move flank. Technically Raiken too, but I think once you get down to Raiken, you're almost have reached that speed before it was 4 prio. Yeah, so I mean, doing calcs, Koish isn't going to be that fantastic. It looks better on paper. And since they removed Harmful Lick and Late Torment from neutral Koish, it's less of a threat there too. So I get the triple electric weakness this way, which kind of sucks, and triple crystal weakness. So the only reason I would run a mental Koish is if I really wanted that better type chart defensively. Rampage, Goring, and Held Anger? Yes, that sounds right. I know it got Goring and Held Anger. Yeah, I think they gave a lot of the Koishes that didn't have one at least a support move. Because I know Electric Koish got Electromagnetism, Mental Koish got Ultrasound, Romion also got Willpower Drain. Interesting. I mean, I guess I can just click on Koish, Neutral Koish. Oh no, it got Cooperation. That's what it was. And it wasn't Rampage. It was Stampede. Nature Koish got 3 support moves. Yeah, I mean you can give that thing as many support moves as you want, but it's still just going to be used as a Water Cutting Lily fishing spam. I kind of want to see the animation for Neutral Koish using Stampede. That's going to be so goofy. Like really. Oh. I mean, Stampede could be really nice. Yeah, if you run it next to Naga, and then you swap the Naga out so the speed still happens, and then you just swap into an Earth type for synergy. You effectively have 3 Prio C's spread and a ton of damage, but imagine the Stampede equations just go to Neurolodge. Funny. I mean, we can look at Zen Meditation. I know that got buffed, but the thing is, most of its users aren't going to use it. Cycrox was the only one that. I mean, I guess Moala potentially could. I think that without Hypnotist, Moala is just going to be a bit too rough. So yeah, like Cycrox, but Cycrox's defensive type chart is kind of trash. It's really good at countering Toxics, so like, can wall Platamus. Doesn't even wall Garunder though. Hazrat, but you're weak to so many other things. It's just it's hard to justify. Plays Gag Hedging with Zen Med. If Gag wasn't changed so that it doesn't proc on like anything other than a direct hit from your opponents, then I would agree that it could be fun. But since it doesn't proc on overexertion, it doesn't proc on status effects, it doesn't proc on any other way, I just don't think it's going to be great. Washington Cycrox has a pretty good type chart, but the time itself is awful. Yeah, I mean, it's always been kind of gate kept by neurotoxins being OP. I've been waiting for them to rework the trait entirely so Cycrox can be usable, but they just seem reluctant to do that. While you run Cyberclass, you can hit yourself. That's about the only way now. Just for fun, let's say I have this team. Why didn't I just type in Sambi? Okay, let's say I have this team, and I'm versing meta team. How would the bands go? Because here I have an electric weakness and a crystal weakness. So I'd probably look at banning either Chimerian or Garunder. Both of them are actually countered by Volcrane, so maybe Volcrane. But the thing is, they could lead either one of them with Oshiara and it would still be bad. So I would probably just ban Chimerian. Ban Chim, pick Sanbi. That's probably the best play, you're right. So then I pick Sambi, and then what 2 do they pick? Like they don't like Oshiara is not real welcome. Platamus gets countered kind of as well. You know, they probably ban my Chim as well, and then they pick Garunder. Because they're not afraid of Volcrane because they have Platamus and Oshiara, and even Volphy. That would be my guess. So it's Garunder, and then I could even see Garunder and Tolkien because Tolkien can inflict burn support, and also Garunder counters both Amphitheater and Nessa, which are my 2 ways to deal with Tolkien effectively. I mean, technically, you can bring Grandpa now to counter Tolkien and Turok to an extent. I really wish this was 100% boost. I really, really, really wish it had. It's a good start, but I hope that they acknowledge that this damage boost is not enough and that they go up to 100%. It's just reverse thick skin. Invites Volcrane and I can pick a water. Oh, if I if they don't ban Volcrane or if they pick Chimerian. Gotcha. Or no, if they can't if they pick Tolkien. I mean, Volcrane still dies to like a wind burst and a tornado. It was darn close, just because the special defense is so bad. I don't know what my spread would be on Volcrane. I would think I'd probably just hit like I don't know. You can't even, there's no point in even hitting 221 speed because even if you get a turbo off, you're gonna get hit by a water blade. That's from a max speed Oshiara. So there just ain't a point. I guess what you'd probably do is you'd outspeed Saipat after a turbo. So it'd be like you probably just go like 204. You speed creep a little bit. So that's pretty reasonable. That also maybe a little bit more because base speed Chimerian is 204. 206, sure, good enough. I'm not going to build a whole spread here. I'm just thinking situations here. So yeah, so they lead Garunder Platamus, and I lead Sanby. Probably Sanby Alhi, right? Because like Alhi can hit. I bet my Alhi doesn't have a turn one wind moves. That's kind of the issue. So like that's the problem with bringing telekinetic. So maybe you don't even bring. Alhi would die to F. I'm assuming that they would bring Platamus like your first idea because like you said, Volcrane is an issue. So a Platamus Garunder lead. I'm trying to figure out how I could beat that if they ban my Chim. And if I first pick Sandy, because like Nox can't go into that. Nesla doesn't like going into that. Amphitheater doesn't. So it's basically just Alhi or Grandpa, and Alhi would be my best solution. It's just that if they figured out that I wouldn't have a turn one wind, it would suck. Sam, we do like 50 to Plat with Matter Teleport. You know what? You're right, and the Plat probably swaps anyways. So I probably would just Matter Teleport the Sand or the Platamus and then Helicopter Kick, and then maybe on the second turn I would Oshidashi and Matter Teleport the Garunder, and that I would hope would finish it off because it already took some chip from Helicopter Kick. And like high attack, invest Alhi with Helicopter Kick is really nice damage actually because of Bruiser. Like you just ignore Fury. It's not good. Um, yeah, so that would be good, I suppose. So I mean, something like this has potential, but the fact that I don't even want to pick Grandpa is kind of disappointing. I would probably end up switching that out anyways. Alhi is going to be fun to experiment with. I probably will try going for a team similar to this. I wish that Chimerian wouldn't be a requirement on teams, but you basically need two counters to Nagast just in case. And unless I want to run, I mean, you can't even run like a slow toxic as effectively anymore. You just need something fast with neutral prio, or like a rotten goo or electro punch user. Like the direct counters just aren't there as much. It's just the thing is you can break through Nagase a lot easier with neutral hits. So it'll take a lot of experimentation. All right. Server's still not up. I got like 10 minutes till class. I might just still fixing and finding issues as of 4 minutes ago. It seems like it's going to take a while. I am going to probably just end the stream here and be a responsible student and go to my class. But I will be back later. As I mean, if anyone wants a time, it'll probably be like I get done with classes in noon 30 here, which is in almost 4 hours, or just under 4 hours. So I'll probably be back in around 4 hours, just because I'm gonna have lunch after class. So if anyone wants to come back and watch me then, I'll probably be on for probably a while. Playing some being mostly PvE content today. I don't think I'm going to do a whole lot of PvP. I kind of want to experiment everything that they add to the game and appreciate it for what it is. Might do a little bit of beginner Umbra hunting for Umbra Pookie, obviously. We'll see how that goes, though. It sounds kind of awful, and I don't know the Umbra radar prices or anything. Well, but we'll take it all in and look at it. It's just gonna be a bit of a slower stream, but just because there's so much content. How my Luma drops looking? I have not grinded a single Luma yet, but I do have a couple saved up. But I really have hardly any, like zero, hardly any. So yeah, we'll see. But yeah, thank you all so much for stopping by and watching, and I will catch you all next time. Bye bye.